This is Void Deck, a podcast from Science Center Singapore where we sit down with local STEM changemakers and explore science happening right here in Singapore. I'm your host, Janice. Today, we're asking, could durian be the secret to a sustainable future? Scientists in Singapore have transformed the leftover seeds and skins of the iconic king of fruits into antibacterial bandages, biodegradable food wraps, and natural food stabilisers. And here to tell us more is food technologist Prof. Chen. Prof. Chen is the Michael Pham Endowed Professor and Director of the Food Science and Technology Program at Nanyang Technological University. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
So how did you first become interested in durian?
Well, as our focus is on reducing food waste, so we have developed a number of technology platforms. And one of them is actually to convert the solid residues rich in fiber into biodegradable packaging materials. That include the soybean residue, okra in other terms, and barley span green. All these are side streams from food processing industry, which are rich in cellulose. So we have developed technology to convert these fiber-rich side streams into packaging materials. And since I mentioned this is platform technology, so we also apply to other fiber-rich side streams, and durian husk is one of those.
Okay, so the reason why you got interested in durian is because of these fiber-rich properties as a byproduct?
Yeah, well, when we design our innovations, we do not do it on the random basis. So first we analyze the composition of these materials, and then we design strategy to upcycle these side streams. In other words, people call them waste to be, but we see value in these side streams because they are either nutrient-rich or fiber-rich. And we can talk about nutrient-rich side of the story later on, but when we talk about durian husk, they are very rich in fiber and pectin, some other materials, but our technology platforms can be easily applied to convert the fiber-rich part of the durian husk into biodegradable packaging materials.
Awesome. So most people wouldn't think of durian, as the fruit that people will go to that will be upcycled, because of the way it looks. It's very big, it's very bulky, it's very spiky, and of course it has that infamous strong smell. So what made you realize its potential for food science innovations?
Well, in Singapore, as we know, we generate about 700,000 tons of food waste every year. In other words, it's about 2 bowls of food waste generated per person per day.
Wow.
Reducing food waste is actually one of the very important aspects of creating an efficient food system. For example, if we can tackle these homogeneous side streams, we can also look into tackling the heterogeneous household food waste. But for the durian part, we know that when you open up the durian, there's only that much or that little you can eat.
Yes.
The rest you just throw them away. So we look at the two aspects of this side stream from durians. One is the husk, the other one is the seeds. So for the husk, we have mentioned that we can convert them into biodegradable packaging material and also the bandages. And for the seeds, we also have developed this food stabilizer, which really provide a cost-effective way to enhance current food system.
Awesome. Well, let's delve a little deeper about the durian husk.
Yes.
So in basic terms, for listeners who aren't scientists, how would you transform the husk into a clean antibacterial bandage?
Well, when we look at the cellulose, right, which is abundant in this husk, what we do is we first extract cellulose using very simple technology. We do not generate secondary organic waste. Instead, we use this very simple solution to convert this cellulose into transparent, translucent type of material that can be used either in packaging material or other applications. In the case of bandages, we actually cross-link these materials so that it become a different material. We call it hydrogel.
Hydrogel.
Yeah. And from the hydrogel, we actually add a little bit the antimicrobial component, and then the bandages will become antimicrobial bandages derived from durian husk, but has a wide application in terms of healthcare, for individuals who may have a skin problem, typical skin problem we call acne, right? And also those who have a very dry skin, if you apply the common bandage, it's not moist, so it doesn't really help them. Was our moist hydrogel antimicrobial bandages actually relieve this sensation of itchiness and also provide this protection against bacterial infection.
So, what are some things the public may be surprised to know about the processes involved in your research? For example, your day-to-day operations or how food scraps are being sourced. Are there any interesting thing about this process?
If we talk about platform technology or technology platforms, we can talk about this cellulose extraction into packaging materials. Another technology platform we have developed is actually fermentation. I see this really as an anchor to solve a number of problems in food waste reduction. One of them is actually spoilage of side streams like soybean residues, barley spent green, being derived from making beer or making Milo. Yeah. These side streams tend to be very rich in nutrient, which make them turn bad very fast. So by applying fermentation using good microbe meaning the probiotics or other type of beneficial microbes, we actually stop the spoilage, because it's like our gut. People, when they're healthy, they tend to be less prone to food poisoning because the good microbe occupy all the space. So in the same line of thinking, when we give this side stream to the good microbe, they choke out all the space so that the contaminating microbe, they have no space to settle down and turn this nutrient-rich side stream bad. So this is what we have discovered when we apply the simple technology fermentation. Fermentation, as the general public knows, has been widely applied in our daily life. We talk about kimchi, we talk about miso. All these are good examples of food product derived from fermentation, or nettles, right? So when we apply fermentation technology to these nutrient-rich side streams, we stop the spoilage. At the same time, the good microbe produce micronutrient to make this final product even more nutritious. So in terms of nutrition profile, there are two categories of nutrient. One is called macronutrient, the other one is micronutrient. Macronutrient, we include protein, lipid, carbohydrate, whilst micronutrient will include vitamin, antioxidants, short-chain fatty acid. So fermentation, the microbe will produce this micronutrient and then so enrich this fermented product. And so we have demonstrated that this fermented soybean residue can actually look back to the current food system. For example, we have produced plant-based mayonnaise, which has been reported by the Straits Times before, using this technology. And when I talk about this fermentation as platform technology, it's not simply about soybean residue or barley spent green. In fact, we apply the fermentation technology to convert the prawn shells into packaging materials. And what happened to the so-called nutrient-rich solution from this fermentation of prawn shells? Well, we reconnect back to the urban farming, which is very important for Singapore's sustainable food security. So these will become fertilizer for the urban farm. Yeah.
That's good. So it's a very closed loop way
Correct,
of doing.
exactly. Yeah. So
Awesome.
what we aim is always to create efficient food system that allows a minimum level of generation of food waste, while maximizing some of the food waste that we cannot avoid. For example, this as long as we eat bean curd, as long as we drink soy milk, we will have this soybean residue. So you can't, so as long as people keep on drinking beer, to always have a body spent green. So this type of side streams would be important for us to find ways to either convert them into useful materials or connect back to the food system. But in any case, we should not leave it as a waste, because they are still very rich in useful components. So our technology allows us to create this food circular economy, which is very important for Singapore, because we import 90% of the food into the country, and food waste is the last thing we want to see in large amount, because it pollute the environment, it waste, it increase burden of government for food import and so on.
Exactly, and we are very grateful for you and your team's effort and dedication to helping create this more sustainable food cycle for all of us. And with that, moving on to our next question.
Sure.
So you've lived and worked around the world researching about food science and technology. Why is Singapore an exciting place for this field?
Well, if we look at Singapore, it's a small city-state, well known for high efficiency, and it has been recognized as one of the bright spots globally for innovations. And in the case of food science and technology, using food science and technology to create this efficient food system, small is make us nimble and get things move fast. But that's only one part of the perspective. The other part, more importantly, is the need to develop urban solutions for our food security. When we talk about urban solutions, people may say, that's because you don't have enough farmland. But I see things differently, because it was estimated that by 2050, 70% of the world population will live in the urban area. We look at Singapore as a hub for biomedical science, R&D, for AI, for engineering, pharmaceutical industry as well. All these existing expertise are being translated into the food space. There are a lot of existing expertise in Singapore that can be translated with a correct tweaking, to suit the food requirement, can be translated into the food space, so that we can move very fast. So therefore, we are always well recognized globally. As you mentioned, I work quite a fair bit with international organizations. So we have been invited by institutions like the World Health Organization, Food and Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations, to work on policy matters, and also innovations developed in Singapore. Through working with these international institutions, we can achieve faster and broader adoption, because it's through this standardization, harmonization with WHO and FAO, I think we can see that the technology made in Singapore will have a wider adoption and create real impact, not just for Singapore, but also beyond.
Special thanks to Prof. Chen for coming on the show. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in and supporting Singapore Science. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Craving for more local science stories? Read more features and listen to past episodes at voiddeck.science.edu.sg. See you next time.